Each and every day, enjoy the Simple Six menu at Subway, an entire made-for-you meal featuring one of 6 inch sandwiches like the Italian BMT or Black Forest ham, with any bag of chips and a 21-ounce drink, all for only $6. Subway. Eat fresh.
The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects. The B.S. Report. The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S. Report. It's a cold, chilly, but sunny Monday morning here in Los Angeles, California. On the line for the final time this NFL season, Cousin Sal. We watched the Super Bowl together yesterday. Somehow it was the first football game we watched together all year.
Yeah, weird.
We loaded up on the Seahawks. We did everything short of betting the Seahawks plus 20 or to win by 22 or more, which is 15-1 odds, which I feel like we would have done had we talked it out. But all in all, kind of a magical gambling day for us, and it washed away some of the stink for me this season, Sal.
I agree. It was nice, and I don't know if it's a combination of me being depressed that the season is over or just being greedy in general, but I felt like we left a lot of money on the table yesterday. We loved Seattle.
Yeah.
We compared it to the Tampa-Oakland game about 12 years ago when we couldn't understand why Oakland was a favorite. And,
yep.
The same case here. Seattle's an underdog, and we like the money line. We like it big. And we won a little, but could always be more. But I mean, what more can you ever ask for? I don't even know why I'm depressed. You have Peyton Manning with the Manning face. You see it all game long.
3 hours of it.
3 hours of it. You have Floyd Mayweather lost $10.4 million betting the Broncos. And
is that official?
I think so. I've read enough about. You know what? I don't care. I read it once, and it's in my head, so it's good enough. And thirdly, Richard Sherman ended up on crutches, so really perfect.
And I feel like I did my part. I put the Billy Zima stink on Denver on Friday, which I couldn't have been happier to do. Really, everything fell into place. The one thing I was surprised by was just how bad Denver looked from the first snap. Yeah, I thought Seattle might wear him down. I thought for sure Denver would have some trick plays. They've been studying the Seattle team for 2 weeks. And just from the first play, I went back after we watched the game together. I went back last night, and I watched the first half again pretty closely.
Yeah.
Seattle was rushing like 3 and 4 guys and getting crazy, crazy pressure.
Yep.
And everybody was saying all week, if they get pressure with those 4 guys, they're going to win the game. They didn't just get pressure. They were in Manning's mug. When we were watching the game live, I felt like they had 6, 7 guys coming at them, and they really didn't. And it was just like they just couldn't have played it better. They looked faster. They looked stronger. The only thing I disagree with the stuff that I heard last night and read today was that Seattle was clearly the best team, blah, blah, blah. San Francisco was right there. And the difference between those two teams, I feel like, was a couple plays, couple breaks. I still feel like if Seattle went into San Francisco for the NFC title game, I'm not sure they win.
Right.
Seattle was the best team, but San Francisco was pretty close. And that's, I think, the legacy of this season. Those two teams were better than everybody else.
And I think San Francisco would have handled Denver
yes,
in a similar fashion, maybe not by 35, but whatever it was. But yeah, man, that first of all, Seattle wins the toss. They defer. Denver takes the ball, which is a little strange, but okay, whatever. They're going to take the ball. They're Denver. Terrible play call to snap the ball over the quarterback's head. No, but I don't. I mean, it's been beat ad nauseum by Trent Dilfer and everyone, but you got to know your first play, and if it is that loud, maybe make an adjustment like early. You should know. Like, did Seattle really bring all their fans over to New Jersey? Was it that impossible to hear?
It couldn't have been that loud. I think he just saw something he didn't like. I mean, I'll even go a play earlier. They get a kickoff. The guy returns it 8 yards out of the end zone, gets tackled at the 13.
Yeah.
And Seattle's like, I watched that again last night. The Seattle guys are just like it's almost like they'd all been electrocuted. They were flying down the field.
And give them all a chance to swarm there, yeah.
So it goes from there. They're on the 13. Safety. Now Denver has the ball. They get that awesome Harvin run, sets up the field goal. Next drive, Denver has the ball, second down. Cam Chancellor nails Thomas on at the tight end on that play across the middle. It's like, oh, okay.
I want you to get this right. It'll be the first time you got it right all year. Is it Julius?
Julius.
All right, you got it.
Julius Thomas, a college roommate of Reggie Cobb.
Nice.
3rd and 5, 3-man Seattle rush.
Mm-hmm.
Manning has the happy feet incomplete.
Yep.
Then Seattle gets the ball back. They throw the Baldwin pass, 37 yards. Touchdown pass gets tipped. They end up for a field goal, 8-0. So now 3rd and 7, Denver has the ball. That's when Seattle blitzed. That led to the terrible Manning pick, which was just atrocious.
Is that when you thought it was over? Because I thought it was over earlier.
No. I was still kind of waiting for the Denver run.
Yeah.
But then here was the play I forgot, and this was a big one. So I think at this point it's 15-0.
Mm-hmm.
Manning missed Thomas on that deep pass.
Yeah, that's right.
And watching that live, I thought he wasn't open. But then watching it last night, the replay, like he had beaten those two guys down the field, and Manning had just put it downfield to the left. He runs and gets it touchdown, but it was a duck.
I mean, there's a lot of turning points. I thought up 5-0, 3rd and 8, Russell hustle and bustle, scrambling left.
Yeah, made a great play.
The Golden Tate. I mean, they're at their own 31, I think there. They have to punt there. Denver might get decent field position. Certainly not field position that a snap would cause them a safety. And maybe they drive, make it 5-3 or 7-5 or something. It could have been a little different there, but
then the other thing,
I thought it was over.
The pick six happened that made it 22-0. That was a 4-man rush by Seattle, and they totally collapsed the pocket. And then I was looking, so it's 22-0. You could argue Denver scores there. It's 22-7 going into halftime. That's doable.
Yep.
3rd and 4 false start leads to 3rd and 9, pass over the middle, 4th and 2. Awful play, nearly gets picked. And that was the game. I mean, that's really when
what happened on that 4th and 2? That was a horrible throw. That was
horrible throw.
All the neck surgeries were counteracted, and what was it? It wasn't tipped or anything, was it?
No. It was he tried to throw to a guy that was covered by 2 guys and nearly threw it to Seattle. It was, that's a play though. It's 22-0. You have to score on that drive. That's where you run your single best play. Especially
when I have there will be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half on a parlay somewhere. Especially then.
When I saw Breeze, when we did like a 20-minute podcast with him from the Bud Light Hotel. By the way, if you missed the Bud Light Hotel podcast last week, we had Colin Kaepernick, Drew Brees, Aaron Andrews, Joel McHale, and my buddy House. We did, I think, 3 different podcasts. I asked Breeze about that cover 3 that Seattle does, and my theory that I thought Seattle was just going to let the receivers catch the ball in front of them and just beat the living hell out of them and try to make Manning throw over the top. And he was kind of like, he kind of enjoyed that. It got nerdy for a second. And he was trying to be diplomatic, but I could tell from his answer, he really did seem to feel like that was what they were going to do. And he didn't want to say it, but I could just read it in his eyes because I'm the body language doctor, Sal.
Yeah.
I could read it in his eyes. And I got the sense from him that he didn't think Manning would be able to throw over the top.
Yeah.
And he didn't. The only person who's been able to go over the top is Sly Stallone.
Right, that's true.
Turned his hat around
and everything.
Yeah, he turned his hat around. He would go over the top every time. But but I really think that it was just a perfect matchup for Seattle. And also, now we look at that Denver team, and you look how bad their defense looked. Like they just couldn't get off the field, and it shined a big spotlight on the AFC, which was probably a much more mediocre conference than
I was looking at the 2015, and that's what stakes. Like, at least when the Ravens beat the Broncos, you can make it, there was that Raheem Moore, whatever, the Hail Mary play, and, Denver was better, and who knows how it would have ended up. But now there's a clear gap between, San Francisco and Seattle and Denver, I think at least. And,
Yeah, I would say I would put Carolina over Denver too, and anyone in the AFC.
I looked at the 2015 Super Bowl odds.
What? Yeah, I can't believe you did that.
I did.
It's hard to believe you're thinking 9 months ahead to the next season.
Seattle and Denver are both 15-2 at 7.5 to 1. San Francisco's 8 to 1. I think within reason, unless you want to take a flyer, I think Seattle and San Francisco are the only ones to consider at this point. Then New England's 15-1. Green Bay and New Orleans are 20-1. I didn't even look at Carolina, so they must be.
I disagree. Carolina at 25-1. Let's just call that in right now.
Really?
25-1. All they need to do is get a playmaker.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, that team hung with San Francisco in that game, and they had Steve Smith, who clearly got shot up before the game, looked good for an hour, and then the medication started wearing off, and he died basically, and they had no passing at all.
You're right.
I think that's the team that I'm looking at for next year. But I also worry that going into next season, that's going to be the team everybody points to. I also think it's hard for me to write off San Francisco after how close they came the last 3 years.
That's who I think I would pick. I mean, they're
in the mix.
They lost the Super Bowl, then they lost against the best team. It's got to sort of happen soon, right?
Well, and don't count out the Patriots, because we're going to let Julian Edelman go. We're going to replace him with a bunch of receivers that aren't reliable, and we're going to trade down from our first-round pick to try to pick a bunch of different guys that probably won't help.
There you go. It always works.
That's right. I'm complaining about a team that wins 12 games every year. Yeah, send me the emails. I don't care. I also think the Chiefs at 30-1 are kind of interesting.
They're not. That was so soft, though, against the Colts. I don't know what to think with them.
Well, they had a lot of injuries, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's early. I can't wait to make a future
bet
that we're going to lose.
This out. We spent an hour worrying if the line was going to go to 3 yesterday. Like, what do we wait? Do we wait till it goes to 3? No, do we take 2.5?
It's so funny. You and I, we became friends in November 2002. Pretty much the moment I started working for Jimmy's show. It was like I actually said to Jimmy, because you have a new sports buddy at work, Eric Immerman, who is one of the writers, who I kind of got a little jealous, because it seemed like you had little gambling like conversations and stuff that I'm not privy to.
Jealous.
Like, he's your buddy in the office. No, he's your buddy in the office that you talk about betting with. And I was like your first buddy. And I realized that I always thought Kimmel had hired me as one of the first writers for his show that I was launching, because he thought I was good and he'd help the show. But really, it was a present to you.
Yeah.
He needed you to have a companion in the office to discuss gambling, and he studied my columns and realized that I was the best candidate. So it had nothing to do with my talent.
That was it. It was like when Uncle Frank realized he wasn't hired to do security. Like
right.
6 weeks in, he said, "You know what? I just realized something. Jimmy wants me to sort of be foolish on camera. He doesn't care if I'm a security guard." I was like, yeah, well, you didn't have one meeting in 6 weeks. You just realized something. You don't have a post or anything.
That's great. And that's also a 100% true story.
Yes. Not a lie.
Yeah, he really did. He thought for 6 months, he was hired to be Jimmy's personal security for the show in case anything happened. He had no gun, nothing on him. But anyway,
no, but in your case, it's humiliating walking into these Gamblers Anonymous meetings alone. So yeah,
right.
I needed a partner.
It's nice that we're there together.
Thank you for being there. Well,
so we talked. Both of us thought Seattle should have been favored.
Yeah.
The line the public just jumped on Manning, which is always. It's always one good scenario that you like. This was also a great defense against a great offense team. And the history says, that's always a good thing. Really, the weather didn't turn out the way we thought, which got me a little concerned. But really, the only reason to take Denver in this game that was a legitimate reason and doesn't even totally make a lot of sense was it was Manning's year. Mm-hmm. And that was the part I was scared of. It was like, man, this is just the perfect year from start to finish for this guy. And you could make a case. This is just how it has to end. But ultimately, Seattle was just healthier, deeper, faster. They could do everything. I mean, yesterday, the fact that they scored a special teams TD, defensive TD, and what was the other weird TD? They did three weird TDs.
Safety, I know that.
Safety, safety, defensive interception, touchdown, and a special teams touchdown. Kind of epitomized what their team was.
Yeah. There were no easy options for Denver. You can blame Peyton Manning, but you got to blame John Fox a little too. Maybe not a terrific game plan. Didn't seem like they were going to move the ball at all, but you had to run some more. And that safety, which I don't want to speak in hyperbole, but I'm saying that's the biggest safety of all time. And it's the biggest, I think it's the most dominant, punishing defense we've seen, maybe not even just the Super Bowl, but in any game of all time. I know it's going too far, but the two Super Bowls you compare it to are the Ravens against the Giants and the Patriots Bears. And, Peyton Manning is not Tony Easton or Kerry Collins. This was is a dismantling of one of the great offenses.
True. The only thing I'll say is we all left Super Bowl 20, Bears 46, Pats 10, convinced that was the best defense ever.
Yeah.
And they
had a song and everything, though. You were familiar with them.
Well, it did feel like, I'm not sure Denver had a great game plan.
No.
Barnwell did a nice job in his column today, which you can read on Grantland, of pointing out, some of the things that went wrong strategically for them. And Peter King as well was talking about Manning just threw to the wrong guys a few times. Mm-hmm. He just never seemed comfortable. But
a lot of them were wearing green.
Right. I thought their biggest mistake, though, it really seems like they could have run the ball a little bit better than they did.
Yeah.
Moreno only touched the ball 5 times for rushes.
Right.
Monty Ball, 6 carries for 1 yard is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought they'd be able to run the ball a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, and we talked about it last week. But these guys, you could throw underneath to Welker and Decker and Julius Thomas, and those guys are going to get lit up whether they catch it or not. They're going to get kicked in the face after the play. And Demaryius Thomas catches one, over the shoulder, and then gets the ball punched out of his hands by. It's just,
that was a tough one. I do feel like if they score there, it's 29-7, and there's 25 minutes left in the game.
Right.
What wasn't inconceivable. They
could not get anything going. That's what makes Seattle a Peyton Manning team. Even when he gets killed, will put up 21 in garbage time. They scored 8 points.
Yeah,
8 points.
That safety, obviously it happened to the Pats 2 years ago in Indianapolis against the Giants, which was an awful call, and I will always disagree with it for the rest of my life. But it's such a bad way to start your first drive.
Yeah.
To just be like, oh, yeah, we got a safety, and now we're punting from around 20. It's just like, it's...
How hard was that snap? That was a snap from the 13, you said?
Yeah.
Went basically out of the end zone. What's going on?
There was a couple Omahas missing in that moment.
By the way, I know a few people are asking me about Omahas. The over-under was 28.5. They're no actioning the Omahas. All the sports books. They're like, screw it. It was a joke, and there's no way we could hear or figure out if it did 28 or 27 or 29.
Good.
Omahas.
It's a smart no action.
Yeah.
We should mention, speaking of the safety, our friend Daniel
did it again.
He did it again. He won on the first score will be a safety bet. One of the worst bets in sports. The odds are terrible. There's only safeties 7% of the time in NFL games, and the odds of it being the first score is just ludicrous. And somehow he's nailed it twice.
But now, 3 years in a row, it's either been the first or the last score, and they still keep the odds at 55-1. It's insane.
So 3 years in a row, he's won that. What was it? First or last score will be a safety?
Right, and you have to bet both teams, so you actually have 4 bets on each game. But, yeah.
I think, didn't we even talk about how that would be? I think we did.
Yeah.
When we did our Super Bowl props pod, I think we talked about how that would be the easiest bet to throw.
Right.
Where Manning's be like, hey, dude, offensive, hey, I just put a ton of money on us for first score will be a safety.
Yep.
So just say, I'm going to lean in. You snap the ball over my head.
Yeah, but the only way this is going to work is if our returner takes it 8.5 yards in the end zone
right.
and then gets smashed.
Trained in the holiday.
Yeah.
So we waited all week for that line to go to 3.
Yeah.
It never went to 3. It went to 2.5. And at that point, we were debating between the Seattle money line or Seattle by plus 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a smart decision. We took the even odds and the points.
I think so.
Which I think was the right move.
That was the way to go.
Then we did a parlay with Seattle plus 10.5, which was what? That was like minus 380?
Minus 600 or something?
Minus 600, whatever. Seattle plus 10.5. Russell Wilson over under touchdown passes, half.
Right.
And then the score of the game will be over 34 points.
Yeah, also an adjusted line. And that came out to minus 150 altogether as a parlay?
That was minus 130.
Right.
So Seattle goes up 29-0. And now we think, oh, my God, Russell Wilson's not going to throw a touchdown pass. We had playing this entire game out perfectly, and somehow we didn't have the over 22 bet, and somehow we're going to lose the big parlay. And then magically hit somebody, and not only does he get the touchdown pass, But we also get the over, and we were celebrating.
Broken tackles. What was it, Curse? Was that Curse's touchdown?
Yeah,
or
Curse.
was it the one after? I can't remember. Even so I can't remember.
So we were watching it at our cousin's house, and they have the giant Super Bowl square party.
Mm-hmm.
And people are putting their kids in the party, including your cousin nephew.
Right.
What is he? Your cousin Jonathan's kid. What does that mean?
It's just another cousin, I think, right? Second cousin?
It's kind of like you're his uncle, though.
Yeah.
So he wins the first quarter. Mm-hmm. He's like, what, is he 2 years old?
He's just turned 3.
Turned 3. See, so now he's walking around with this wad of cash.
Right.
Then the third quarter, somebody else's kid wins the pool.
Yeah.
And you didn't like this.
Well, we're taking pictures of kids fanning cash, you know. First of all, Jamie and I are collecting the money, and I didn't want to make a big deal out of this, but we get $970 out of the 1,000 because people are paid. They're paying for 2, but filling out 3 squares, but it got lost in there somewhere. I was like, all right.
Oh, boy.
So
there was chicanery?
What's that? Yeah. So I had to make up the difference. But
why didn't you tell me? I would have given you the money back.
Oh, it's a celebration. It's about the party. But
I feel terrible now.
Well, I stepped on your punchline a little. Well,
fourth quarter, it's 43-8, and I had 3 and an 8, so I won the big prize at the end.
Yep.
And I'm rooting for kneel downs and teams not to get first downs, but I'd like to say I restored order to the adults because I didn't like how the kids tried to take over the grid square
That's the
pool.
way it should go. And you know what? I like it because I sort of rigged it so that you would win, so that you'd have some interest in football again.
Oh, stop it!
I like it.
So then the other great thing that happened, other than this being the magical bookend for our Bucks Raiders, which we did all the right stuff on.
Right.
The other great thing that happened is Tom Brady has never been blown out in a Super Bowl.
Oh, that's true.
When I'm arguing about Brady versus Manning like 40 years from now, I have a little more ammo. I'm excited.
That is good.
And granted, I'm a huge homer. I'll be the first one to admit it. And what homers do is they defend their own dudes. Like you defend Romo.
Sure.
You defend whatever Mets and so on and so on. I defend my Boston guys.
I didn't take as much joy in it. I had asked her, I said, at what point do you feel bad for Peyton Manning? If it's 60-0, you're like, no way. Nope. I'm not, I will never feel bad, but I don't have as much.
I'm never going to confirm or deny that quote.
I don't have as much hatred for him because, in fact, it sickens me that in some circles he's looked at as inferior to his little brother. The guy's made 50 times as many clutch throws and has a much better complexion. And completion and complexion. And
I don't have any hatred. I don't have any hatred for Manning.
All right.
I just think you should have people and teams that you're going to root against. Rooting against people is fun in sports. I don't hate anybody. I was hoping Peyton Manning was going to lose the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I like Seattle. I like the 206. I love the fact that, by the way, one day after the Seattle finally gets rid of David Stern, they win a Super Bowl. The coincidence? No.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah. New NBA commissioner, February 1st. Super Bowl win, February 2nd. Goes 206.
Wow.
Yeah. What a month for Seattle.
I had under 37 minutes that you would pull the NBA into this somehow. All right.
Well, listen, they showed the montage during the game. They showed Jack Sikma. They showed Lanny Wilkins.
Yep.
It was great. I was really happy for them. I know a couple Seattle fans. I gave them the advice. I've listened, Sal. I've won some titles. I have some advice on when to buy the stuff. I don't think you should ever buy a hat until Wednesday. The first wave of hats are terrible.
What do you mean?
Your team wins a title. Well, when your team wins a title, everybody they go on QVC, they go on the internet. You're buying everything. You're so excited your team finally won. You got to wait like 3 days. The good stuff doesn't go online until about Wednesday.
Right. Or you could do like the starving African kids do. They get a shipment of Denver Broncos Super Bowl 48 champs T-shirts. They'll probably have it by the end of the week.
Well, you know my theory on that.
What is it?
I think we should be able to buy that stuff.
Sure.
What is a better taunting T-shirt item than a Super Bowl 48 Denver Broncos champions T-shirt that you could wear around Seattle?
That's true.
I've told this story before, but after the Pats beat the Rams in 2002, on my way out of the Superdome, I bought this Rams T-shirt that they hadn't taken off the shelves yet that was in this Rams Super Bowl champion cup.
Right.
And I wore that Rams T-shirt for like 7 years until my wife threw it out without my knowledge.
7 straight years every day?
Well, not every day. But it was one of my favorite T-shirts. There's nothing better than the spite merchandise.
That's great. Well, you have to travel to Mozambique to get it now. You can't do it.
Yeah. And then the other great storyline yesterday is, a couple years ago on this very podcast, I dumped Josh Freeman.
You did dump Josh Freeman.
I dumped Josh Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up a little-known QB, a rookie, short guy. Not a lot of expectations for him. Third rounder. A lot of teams passed on him. I like some of the stuff I read. I picked him up, added him to my team.
Right.
Added him to my list of favorites. And
I think
Russell
he
Wilson is now
bit.
a Super Bowl champ.
You made him a Super Bowl champ. In fact, you called me after the game. It was one of the weirder calls I got from you.
Yeah, because I was staring at you and not talking as I was calling you.
Right, yeah, because we were there together. But
telepathically, I called you.
Well, let me see. Let's see how this went. Hold on, I have it recorded. Cousin Sal, sports guy Simmons here. I am smashed, blotto, polluted, hammered. 7 sheets to the wind thanks to a concoction of snake whiskey and orange Gatorade. And why not? I deserve it. This has been the most extraordinary evening since saving Buddy Ryan. My stud muffin boyfriend Russell Hustle and Bustle Man Muscle Wilson led the Seattle Seahawks to a flawless performance. Now that the game is over, Russ has got a Super Bowl bonus, and I won the Super Bowl Squares pool at Kimmel's, and Man Muscle and I took our winnings, and here we are on the Bud Light podcast shipped to Monaco to make an offshore deposit. We're fully stocked with Quaaludes and gluten-free pumpernickel bagels. Of course, we're going to keep some of that money. Hustle and Bustle wants me to buy a big, girly fur coat, just like Joe Namath wore during the coin flip. I'm going to put it on. Then we're going to reenact that John Stamos yogurt commercial with creamy milk thickness on the tip of my lips, sensual puckering up. And wait, what's this? It's a giant wave. It's going to take us out, just like in Wolf of Wall Street. We're doomed. Settle in. We're about to party with God. I love you, Hustle and Bustle. Sports guy, over and out. Stephen Oshka. Wow.
Well, now I need a new QB. It's not as much fun when they win.
I got a cough for like 20 minutes. Hold on.
Okay, that was good. I don't know how you did that. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Last one.
Yeah. So,
what are you going to do? Who are you going to move on to? Teddy Bridgewater?
Well, my hope, I've written this, but my hope is that Johnny Manziel drops like 27 picks because he does something dumb between now and April.
Jesus. Yeah.
And it becomes that he's too short. He's not
responsible
enough.
Yeah, no, not that guy.
Well, I'd like to gravitate toward the people that nobody believes in as QBs.
He's got too much buzz already for him. But then what team would he have to go to for you to like him?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like he'd have to drop like 27 picks.
Yeah.
I'll do some research. There's a couple guys I have my eye on.
All right, yeah.
Any crazy Super Bowl bets or props that we were shocked by yesterday?
Well, let me just I think the biggest disappointment for me is that I bet you weren't in on this. I bet Seattle by 4-6, 7-9, 10-13, and 14-17, and by the second half kickoff, I had no chance of winning any of those. That's mind blowing. That's ridiculous. But what were the big props that won? Obviously, the first safety was the big.
Well, the national anthem.
National anthem
20
went
seconds under.
Way under. And I think
we talked about
that.
Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast. We thought if it was cold, she'd want to get out of there. But then it turned out it wasn't even that cold. So I don't know what she was doing.
The thin, lovely woman, still 40 degrees. She wanted to get out of there. And she was holding the notes, too. She had like a 4-second pause, but still under by 20 seconds.
The orange Gatorade.
Well, see, here's Daniel wins a ton of money. He's arguing with me over what Gatorade. I know Sportsbook.com is paying both orange and yellow because they didn't distinguish that it's the first Gatorade douse. So they actually are paying out on both orange and yellow.
Oh, so somebody got fired.
Yeah, someone's probably lost their job there.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what were the other ones?
That Bruno Mars would wear a hat, like what kind of hat he would wear. He wore no hat.
There was like interception touchdown bets. We talked about the safety bet.
Special teams bet. Peyton Manning was 10-1 for a pick six. Yeah, just that there would be a safety was 9-2.
Pretty much any Seattle over anything won.
Yeah.
If you like Seattle over as a tease or Seattle over as a parlay.
You have any problem with Malcolm Smith winning MVP?
You know, I kind of do.
Hustle bustle aside?
No, it shouldn't have been him.
It's a weird thing because you don't know who to get. The game was almost over by the time he did his thing, you know? So it's hard to – it's like giving a pitcher a win just by keeping a lead. But I don't think if there's ever a time you have to give it to the defense, that's it, right?
Yeah, it's tough. They had 16 people vote for it.
Mm-hmm.
I probably would have voted for Percy Harvin just because I felt like he had two big plays.
One catch, right? He had the big run and the
big run set up a field goal, and then the special teams TD was. I mean, that was it. That was the dagger.
Boy, on a bounce, he takes it, Mike.
I know. I don't know. I don't feel like anyone in the defense stood out more than anybody else. Like, was Malcolm Smith more important than Cliff Averill? Cliff Averill set up the 2 interceptions.
I know. Cam Chancellor, all those guys. I don't know who you get. Chancellor, he had a pick and 5 tackles. I was looking at it. I don't know who you give it to there.
It would be cool if they gave it to the whole defense and then everybody got a car.
Yeah. Well, Harvey Martin and Randy White won it, and Cowboys beat the Broncos late 70s.
It does set up like some sort of Malcolm Smith situation where it all goes to his head and it turns into like a what's his face from a Kenny Powers type thing.
Oh. I thought you were going to say he was going to get a Larry Brown type contract.
Oh, you could set that up too.
I mean, this is a 7th rounder out of USC. If there's no one on the Cowboys 5 rounds or lower is getting even in the game.
What was your feel for what people? Do you think people lost more money than they won yesterday? Who did Vegas win or did the general public win? It seems like Vegas won yesterday.
Yeah, I think Vegas won. I think people love Denver at -2.5. You know, I mean, there was a lot of money coming in to move that line from Seattle plus or -1 to Denver -2.5. So all the early week money lost, and then it was pretty split. I think later in the day, Saturday and Sunday.
Mm. Well, you sound usually when we do the post Super Bowl podcast, there's real sadness in your voice.
Yeah.
This year it sounds like. You know, I don't know. Maybe you don't care quite as much. Maybe you're just getting older. You had that 3rd kid. Maybe that's distracting you. Maybe the big Fallon versus Kimmel showdown coming up in a couple weeks. Maybe you're focused on that. But I feel like a different level of intensity from you. Or maybe you just maybe we just won too much money yesterday.
You know what? Let's do the whole podcast again because I am upset. I really am.
Okay, good.
Yeah. I'm upset. This is it. I don't think it'll hit me until next Sunday when there's no football. Believe me, even last Sunday I watched the Pro Bowl. I somehow bet the under.
You watched the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, well, I bet the over-under was 91. I said, the defenses aren't going to let Team Dion and Team Jerry down. It just won't happen. So I actually won my last couple bets. It's amazing.
Did you have a bet on a number of times the primetime crew was going to interrupt Pete Carroll during the post-game interview?
It was ridiculous.
Because I had that one. It was +5. It was over or under 5.5, and I went way over on that one.
By the way, they drag Russell Wilson in. They're like, yeah, come over and talk to us. Don't you think you should get the pregnant woman treatment there? Like, here, grab a seat. Maybe we can get you a seat. Berman's been sitting since 10 in the morning.
Yeah. So let's talk about Virgil Green.
What a jerk. I mean,
no catches for Virgil.
I thought for sure we were going to get a Brock Osweiler to Virgil Green on the last play or something, and it just would have been a complete evening for me. But
a reader asked me if Tavares Jackson was the worst person or was the worst quarterback who's ever thrown a pass in the Super Bowl.
Oh, wow. What was Grogan like in 80? Grogan threw a touchdown. He was okay back then. Right?
Oh, how dare you. Now you're just trying to hurt my feelings.
The worst one to throw? Interesting.
Tavares Jackson threw a pass yesterday.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the Raiders.
I'll have to check that Raiders-Tampa box score because I don't know if Gannon made it.
Super Bowl quarterbacks pass attempt.
Yeah.
It'd be really interesting if anybody was worse than him.
And that was also a bet, over 2.5 quarterbacks or over 2.5 players.
Oh, that was a bet? That was a bet?
Yeah. You got like plus 250 or something. All right,
All right, cuz.
That's it.
I think that's it. I think that's it.
Let me just say, Jimmy Kimmel Live tonight, Sharon Osbourne, Shailene Woodley, and Theo James with Zed. later in the week, Dr. Oz, Ashton Kutcher. Thursday, we have a big show. It's a good one. From Monuments Men, we have George Clooney, Matt Damon, Bill Murray, Kate Blanchett, and Bob Balaban. It's going to be good. And then March 10th to the 14th, we're in Austin for South by Southwest Festival. As far as Grantland goes, I'm not going anywhere. I have my Oscar blog coming up. I'll have a Mad Men blog, and I will have a Grantland video. I will sit with a wrestling legend next month.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Oh, and we're filming another episode of House Eats with Sushi.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's happening. We're going to make him come out.
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ever releasing House Eats 4. It might just be straight to video like Slapshot 2. I don't want to say what happened in House Eats 4. I'm not positive we should release it.
It might be best. But I like the idea of House becoming radioactive from some power plant, from nuclear meltdown seared tuna.
What was your favorite commercial yesterday? I really liked the Radio Shack one with the 80s people.
Yeah, that was good. I watched that. It's so funny just yelling at people to shut up the whole time so you could hear these commercials. But
yeah.
I like the which one did I like? I like Baby Doll's Boy with the pistachio commercial.
Oh, Colbert?
Colbert, yeah. Yeah. The Stamos one was okay. The Coca-Cola was a classic commercial. That was nice.
Yeah, it feels like it's harder and harder to get these commercials to stand out.
Yeah. Because
the internet has made everything so weird. It's just hard to be too weird. All right, cuz.
All right, buddy.
We will talk to you before the Oscars. Oscar props, all that stuff, all the bets. We'll break it all down. When is the Oscars?
That's it. Very sad. I think March 2nd.
March 2nd. All right. Yeah. So we'll talk to you before then. Thanks for a great season. Good job by you.
Thank you. Good job by you, Billy.
All right. Talk to you later.
See you, man.
2 things before we go. Actually, 3 things. One, I want to thank the Bud Light once again for hosting us last week at the hotel. That was great. We had a good time on the yacht. It was fun to have a couple people trickle in for the last one. Kind of made me wonder if we should do a couple podcasts with studio audiences. I really enjoyed having people sitting there and laughing and staring at us and the whole thing. So we might have to expand that little franchise. Also want to mention Stamps.com. BS Report sponsor. If you haven't checked out Stamps.com, check it out. It is like having your own personal post office. If you go to their website, just type in the BS on the top right, and that enables you to get a deal on a whole bunch of stuff, including a scale and some free postage. We love Stamps.com. I stopped going to the post office about, I don't know how many months ago or years ago or whatever, but no reason to go to the post office anymore. Stamps.com. Then finally, we're going to call Wesley Morris right now. We're splitting this up because we're going to do a podcast about Philip Seymour Hoffman, who passed away yesterday. One of my favorite actors, and we're going to talk to Wesley and maybe a couple other people about that. So keep an eye out for that podcast as well. Thanks to everybody for listening all football season. We missed Mike Lombardi this year. I will say that it was tough to not have him. And I wasn't even going to try to replace him because there's just nobody like him. And it wasn't the same not having him around. But Sal on Mondays was great. Thanks to him. I just loved having him. It was really fun. And we will talk to you soon on the BS Report.
So I get to sign off. Whoa.
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at PodCenter at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
Geico presents Strange Savings Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.